Hi guys, I'm here from my son's bedroom to give you a quick review of measuring to the nearest 1/4 inch. We did this while I was still there, so I know it's somewhere deep in your brain. We just got to find it, dust it off a little bit, and practice it some more. So just a quick review. When we're measuring with any measurement tool, a ruler, a tape measure, anything like that, it's just a big long number line. So when you're looking at it, we know how to use a number line with our whole numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. But what we're looking at here is those numbers in between our whole numbers. And that's where things get a little bit tricky. So I'm going to zoom in on my number line just between the 0 and the 1. So when I draw it bigger up here, I want you to think of it as zoomed in, kind of with a magnifying glass or something like that. Here's 0 and 1. And remember, we're dividing this whole unit into smaller pieces because everything's not going to be 1 whole inch or 2 whole inches. So I'm going to use my fractions here. And I hope you can see that. Maybe I'll get you a little closer here. And I divided it into smaller parts. To find out how many parts we have here, you can start at 0 and hop. See how many hops it takes to get you to the next whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another way to think of it is if you have a string and you cut on each of these pieces, cut here, cut here, cut here, and cut here, how many parts would your string be in? It would be in 4 pieces. So that tells us that that is 1/4 of an inch or a foot or whatever you're using for your unit. And then to find out what fraction each part is, you start back at 0 and hop to only that space. This would be 1/4 because it's 1 hop out of our 4 hops total. Here we would have 2/4 because it's 2 hops out of the 4. Next we have 3/4 and then our whole, which is the same as 4/4. So if you're anything like me, you don't have a ruler at home that goes to 1/4. I looked everywhere. I don't have one. I have a tape measure though. And my tape measure that I left downstairs with my screaming kids is actually in 1/16. And what that means is that each whole unit, each whole inch is divided into 16 little pieces in between. Now the good news for you there is that you're not supposed to know that. You're not supposed to know 16ths until, I don't know, 5th grade, 6th grade, but we can figure it out because we're fraction experts. So between 0 and 1, all that means is there are 16 hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See, I didn't even make my number line big enough. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hops in between each whole number. And we know that if there are 16 hops, that 16 is our denominator. So when you're looking to measure something with your tape measure at home or something like that, don't panic with all the lines. You do it the same way. You just need to count all those little jumps in between a whole number to find your denominator. And if you're using a regular tape measure or a regular ruler, usually it's going to be 16 or 8. But take your time to count. Everybody's is going to be different. And we would find our denominator the same way. So this is about measurement, I know, not fractions, but they're connected. They're the same thing. So if I have a number line here, I'm calling it a number line, but it's really a ruler or whatever measurement tool you're using. And it looks something like this. Okay, the first thing I need to do if I'm going to measure something that is this long, we're measuring my blue line right now, is we're going to count the hops from 0 to 1. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that tells us our denominator needs to be 8. Then remember, to find the numerator, you need to go back to 0 and count how many hops it takes to get to the end of whatever you're measuring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this blue line would be 5/8 of an inch. Now this is not a real inch, but you get the idea. So I know what you're thinking. Miss Shireman, most things in my house are much bigger than an inch. Yes, yes they are. But we know how to count with a number line using whole numbers, so you do just that. Here's my number line up to 6. Okay, if whatever we're measuring goes here, we see that it goes past the 1, past the 2, past the 3, and past the 4. So we have a big number 4 in the front because it's 4 whole inches. And that's when we start to look at the little lines in between to figure out what fraction of an inch it is. And I'll zoom us in here. So here we see I have a big 4 because it's past the whole 4. To count my spaces here, I like to hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is my denominator. Oops, I realize you can't see that. Then I'm going to go back up. 1, 2, 3. 4 and 3 sixths would be my answer there. Okay, sorry I had to pause there for a second. But we're going to practice a few just together. So if you go grab a paper and a pencil or something to write with, I'm going to show you what we're measuring, and then I want you to pause the video, figure it out on your own, and then unpause it to check your work as I explain it to you. So let's take a look at the first one. Just this top number line here. Okay, the 2 whole to 3 whole. So we know the whole number is going to be 2, and what you're figuring out is the fraction in between. So I want you to measure my daughter's bow. It goes to that first line right there. Now I'm going to scoot this back to give you a better picture. Okay, this is where I want you to pause and figure out how long my daughter's bow is. All right, so the first thing you need to do is to count the hops between your whole number. So if we start at 2 and we need a hop to 3, I want you to count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that tells us our denominator, which would be 4. And then the bow went to here. So to find out our numerator, we go back to the whole number and count how many hops it takes to get to the star. 1. Now that bow is not only 1/4 of an inch, but it was past the 2. Remember, so we put a big 2 in front. And your answer should have been 2 and 1/4. Okay, the next thing I want you to measure is this marker itself. Now we're on my next number line. You notice our whole numbers are 4 and 5. So I'm going to hold the marker up here for you. This is where you can pause to figure it out on your own. Alrighty, so to measure that marker, I hope the first thing you did was to count the hops from whole number to whole number. So start at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, this ruler, this measurement tool, is divided into fourths because it has 4 equal parts. My marker went to here. So then to find out my numerator, we need to go back and count how many hops to there. 1, 2. So our numerator would be 2. Now don't forget, our whole number here is a 4 because we're pretending that this went forever and ever and ever. Not forever, but backwards this way, and we are at the whole number 4 on our ruler. So we need to put a big 4 in front. So this would be 4 and 2/4. All right, the last thing we're going to measure is a little train I found in my son's room. Now notice we're at the 7 and the 8. So your whole number in front will be 7 when we're measuring this train. I'm lining it up with the 7. This has a lot more hops. I know my spaces aren't perfect, but I did the best I could. So pause here and figure out how long the train is. Okay, I hope the first thing you did was count the hops from whole number to whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that tells us our denominator is 8. The train went to here. So we're going to go back and count how many hops to the star. 1, 2, and that's our numerator. We were past the 7 whole number, so it's 7 and 2/8 of an inch. I know these aren't really inches, but that's how we would measure something in between those whole numbers. You just use your fraction on a number line. Well, I hope this quick review helped you find that information deep down in your brain, dust it off a little bit. And remember, when we're measuring, it's just using fractions on a number line, and I know that you guys are fraction experts. So if you have any more questions, just send me an email, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.